I don't think religious people really appreciate how deep and profoundly insane God is. Luckily, I'm here to help. Genesis 2. God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And the man became a living being. And why did he do this? Well, he made a garden and needed a gardener to work it and take care of it. Of course, he could have just made a garden where he didn't have to do that, but, whatever. Now, keep in mind, there was no intention to make Eve at this point. He was just making a groundskeeper. So let's look at what he made. Nipples and a belly button. That's weird, but the most concerning thing is God gave Adam a penis with the physiology to have an erection, testes, a prostate, and semen for absolutely no earthly reason. In creating a gardener, he made sure Adam would have morning wood and the occasional nocturnal emission. Now, the kind of depraved madness this alone speaks to is breathtakingly random, useless, and seriously, what lunatic thinks of that? Adam's probably sitting there thinking like, well, Daddy, first of all, why do I sleep at all? And how come I wake up sometimes and I'm all sticky? It was probably from Adam asking these questions that God started to feel like, you know what, it's probably good for the man not to be alone. And this is how much God never considered making Eve at this time. That he started making wild animals first, not knowing what would make a suitable companion. But alas, no helper was found. So this maniac decided the most logical solution was to make another person out of the person he already made. Now, I had to do some research to reconstruct what Adam looked like, initially having an extra rib, and it probably looked something like this. I mean, it completely throws off the symmetry of the whole thing, but apparently it made sense to God to put it there, and then, change his mind. And now with Eve, he did very disturbing things. Again, keep in mind there is no notion of sex or procreation at this point. Sexual attraction won't even exist until after the fall. And yet he made Eve with 2 large sweat glands that can squirt milk, a uterus, and ovaries, and a menstrual cycle. Eve was probably going like, what the fuck? God would later come up with the idea of procreation after he left his children alone with a loaded gun and they shot themselves. He's really not good at protecting anybody. But procreation was part of the punishment. The angels were probably like, oh, cool, so you're going to have them make things out of clay and breathe life into them? What? That's ridiculous. Does that seriously sound like something a crazy person would come up with? No. What I have in mind will blow your fucking head off.